Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I'm going to be reviewing a very special manga, Girlfriends by Milk Morinaga. Now, if you're familiar with me, you will have heard me speak about this manga before, but I recently realized that I've never actually done a review of it, and I've decided to rectify that. So, let's get started. So, what is the story of Girlfriends? Girlfriends follows a character called Mariko, who is later simply referred to as Mari, and she's very smart, she's at the top of her class, but she doesn't really have any friends. She's very introverted, very shy. Well, one day a girl called Akiko, later simply referred to as Akko, approaches her. Akko is very outgoing, very sociable, and she decides to become friends with Mari. She helps Mari with a lot of things. She helps Mari get a new haircut. She introduces Mari to makeup. She helps her buy some new clothes, and eventually Mari starts to come out of her shell. She starts to become more sociable. However, after a while, Mari starts to realize that she's developing feelings for Akko. And she's very confused by these. She's very scared. She doesn't really know how to handle them. And that's where the story begins. Now, what will stand out to a lot of people about this manga is the fact that it is a yuri manga. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I've actually written a blog post recently giving my thoughts about yaoi and yuri manga, and I will include a link in the description below. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, yuri is about romance between two females. And a big problem that I have with a lot of yaoi and yuri manga is the fact that the characters quite often meet, fall in love immediately. There's no build-up to their relationship. In contrast, in Girlfriends, we really do see how this relationship develops. Mari, as I mentioned before, is absolutely scared out of her mind. She doesn't know how to handle these feelings. And she begins to distance herself from Akko rather than confront these feelings head on. Because of that, there's a very powerful feel to this manga. I have to say that of all the manga that I've read, I believe this to be probably my favorite romance manga ever. As the story continues, we are introduced to a wide cast of characters, all of whom are very charming, very endearing, and help the main characters kind of figure out their feelings. However, probably the biggest criticism I can leverage towards this manga is the end of this manga, which is quite sudden. A very significant event happens near the end of this manga, and rather than give time for it to kind of develop, the manga instead features a time skip and kind of a quick conclusion. And I do think it's a shame. I do think that based on how the story progressed, there could easily have been another volume or two expanding on the story developments. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I think that this manga is one of the best manga that I've ever read. I would highly recommend everyone check it out. With regards to the art style, now the art style is very interesting. This manga was originally published in a magazine called Kamakai. And Kamakai, despite being a seinen magazine, very much had a shoujo art style. In fact, one of the taglines for it was shoujo manga for men. And you will definitely notice this in the art style in this manga. This manga has a very shoujo-esque art style. From the character designs, who have very large eyes and look very pretty, to the way that the panels are arranged, to the kind of very flowery backgrounds. This very much looks like a shoujo manga. But I have to say that the art style looks really good, and I definitely do think that the art works very well for this manga. Admittedly, the art does start out slightly on the plain side at the beginning of this manga, but as the manga progresses, the art style starts to develop even more. I have to say that this manga is very beautiful looking overall. Now, this manga was released by a company called 7 Seas Entertainment, who are a manga publisher in the West. They decided to release this in 2 omnibuses. Originally in Japan, this series was released in 5 volumes. Instead, in the West, we have 2 omnibuses containing 2.5 volumes each. You will notice, if I compare my trusty Yatsuba to them, that they are slightly smaller than your standard tankobon. I believe, if I recall correctly, that this is because that the size of these volumes are actually the size of Japanese tankobons. So that's why they are ever so slightly smaller. The paper quality is very nice contrasts, and really allows the artwork to stand out. And 7 Seas have also included some little extras that were Milk Morinaga included at the end of each volume in the original Japanese. Volume 1 of Girlfriend includes the extras that were included at the end of Volume 1 and Volume 2, whereas the second omnibus includes the extras that were included at the end of Volume 3, Volume 4 and Volume 5. So with regards to how 7 Seas Entertainment handles this release overall, I do believe that they handle it quite well. Would it have been nicer if the volumes were ever so slightly taller and allowed the artwork to be able to kind of stand out a bit more? Of course it would have been. But in general, I think that this manga was released very well, and I'm very happy with its presentation. So overall, what are my thoughts about Girlfriends? I think Girlfriends is an absolutely incredible manga. and I absolutely recommend it to anyone. I would say don't let the fact that it's a yuri manga stop you from reading it. I think that it is an absolutely incredible manga. I think everyone needs to read it, and I hope that you will consider picking it up because it just absolutely deserves everyone's attention. So that's my review for Girlfriends. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it informative. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.